I call this meeting to order, for Osterville Village Association for April 2nd. Thank you all for coming. And do we have any questions on the secretary's report?
Move it be accepted.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's approved. Now, the treasurer's report.
Okay, with our, not much going on since my last report. Last month, but in our checking account, we had $9,324 and change. On our Robert Smith fund, that's the fund where we give all the many gifts and a lot of many activities that we do around town here is $16,639 and change. And we have a money market fund earning about 5% from Vanguard Money Market, about $27.91 right now. So all told, it's about 27,000 somewhere there. And I do not have any checks or any obligations or anywhere where I need to write any checks soon. So
You wrote the checks for the scholarship though.
yeah, I dropped it off to you, didn't I?
Yes, but I mean, we have paid the scholarship now.
Did you send me, if you need some money, just send me an email.
No, I just wanted to announce, you
Oh.
announced that we have finally paid off the
Oh,
two
yeah.
scholarships.
Last year.
Yeah,
All right, anything else, Al?
that's it.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? Need a motion to approve? So moved. A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's approved. And Gail? Okay, your report.
Very successful winter cocktail party was held at 5 Days Bistro last month. Many thanks to Beth and Jamie Serpenat and the sponsors Nicola Architecture and King and Farrell Law. Our spring cocktail party will be held in May at the chat room on a date to be announced. Plans are being finalized for our spring into summer sales day on Saturday, June 1st. This will include a dog parade at 11, starting at the library, and many other events. Could we have a vote of the OVA to sponsor some of the music in the amount of $400 from the Bob Smith Fund? The Osterville Village Directory and calendar of 2024 events is in the printing stage now and should be available by the end of the month. Our next steering committee meeting is April 9th, where we will finalize plans for our annual breakfast meeting on June 4th at the Wiano Club. Town Manager Mark Ells will be the guest speaker at this meeting, which will also include our election of officers and announcement of the OVA scholarship winner. Invitations will be sent out. Plans are being made for Village Day on Saturday, July 20th. We have received the parade permit from the town. The theme of this year's parade is solid gold, as we are celebrating the 50th golden anniversary of our Village Day. That's my report. And if we could have a vote on the 400, I'd appreciate it.
So we issued 400
For the music on that sales day, yeah.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you, Gail. I just want to say that the annual meeting is August 14th, right here at the library. From that, that's in the directory too. Good.
Do you have 6 o'clock in the directory also, or is it 7?
Pardon?
What time do you have down in the directory?
We usually do that at 7, right?
Keep that, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, more business. And maybe you can talk about this a little bit, John. Wanted for a membership person. John's been doing it for how many years?
Well, I've been the membership chairman, and we have others that are helping out. One is Heather Hunt's sister down in Texas, who's joined the mailing list.
Yeah.
And I usually pick up the mail, and Al and I do that. So, but keeping up the mailing list, I think, is that what we're trying to get something to do. The fact that we have somebody in Texas doing it is a little,
Right.
a little far away. I think we should have somebody local, and local wants to do it, and it's easier for everybody if that's the case.
And I can just say, I think all it is, kind of data entry, you know, just when the membership checks come in, however they come in, just sort of entering it in a spreadsheet and noting how long it is. So it's just sort of a manual thing. A few times a year, probably takes, 3 or 4 hours at a pop on a rainy Saturday.
Yeah, it's like an Excel spreadsheet with it.
Yeah.
That's something we have to roll on to see what.
No, we're looking for volunteers to do it, so
Whatever.
if anybody needs to be doing it, let us know. Like have some of the board probably. do.
Like to.
Yeah.
Let's nominate someone who was here.
Mike Tolman.
Second.
Well, and my sister will keep doing it until we find someone, so I think just getting word out would be good.
Yeah, this is a good starting point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think part of the problem is that either when they send in their membership, the address doesn't get changed. I mean, we did have probably 25 letters that were sent out, Christmas charities, that came back as incorrect addresses. So, I don't know if it's because people have moved or if they're using their winter address or, if that's not double checked when they send in their membership check. So takes a little bit of time, but.
Keep it coming.
mm,
Thank you. New business, the LCP presentation, which will be here April 24th at 6 p.m. There'll probably be another announcement too on, through the website or through the library. Any comment on that, gentlemen?
This is fairly important. The LCP is a long-range comprehensive plan committee that, we used to have all the village associations do their own long-range planning for the next 10 years, every 10 years. And this past year, the town council, or the town manager decided that, that was gonna go in-house. And his, basically reasoning with that, with the sewage, efforts coming forward, the Cape-wide sewer plan, that, those had to be going through the planning committee and that, and also the committee. If you've been to a couple of meetings here, we've had a sort of a terse conversation about whether that was fair to the villages or not. So, the LCP presentation will be made by the planning department employees, not by the people on the committee. What they're planning to do is have this open houses, so they're gonna have to make their presentation here at the village association, then have cocktails and stuff, have one-on-one discussion with people. I've actually probably bring this up on Thursday night, that I think that's not the way to go forward. There should be a public comment at each of these meetings, and the people who are putting forth these suggestions on all kinds of, whether it's development, whether it's water resources, whether it's, growth and everything else, should be answering questions from the public directly. So I've actually brought that up with the town manager and also the planning department director, and hopefully they're going to have a different format going forward. But the meetings are starting to be held last night, and I think there's one tomorrow night in the first couple of villages. They have the first 5 chapters of what their work is comprised of, different aspects of the going forward for our town, and those were all released yesterday afternoon. So I also had an issue with that being held for such a long day to the public that, we have ours on that April 24th, so we have time to read those chapters. Some of these other committees did not have that time, other civic associations. And in order to ask enlightened questions, you have to know what you're actually talking about. So, that's an ongoing discussion I'm having with the town manager and the planning department. I think that should change. They should answer questions. Town councilors get up in front of the dais and listen to public comment. And they're there to listen and answer to the public, and our public department should be doing the same thing. So, it's to me, it's sort of typical of what's happened in the past, and one of the reasons I ran for office is to change the way the town run in the past. So I'm still working on that. But we'll have a meeting here, and I think people should be ready to ask public questions and get the information from the town on the LCP website. So, I suggest you take a read of that first before you come to me. have some questions.
John, do you anticipate that being basically the same presentation from village to village or?
Yes, I do.
will it be specific?
It will be village to village and, same presentation, and the people who actually are on the LCP, they volunteer to come to these meetings, but they're not required to come. So he actually, the LCP is writing the chapters and writing the long-range comprehensive plan, will actually have the planning department who is there. They're basically the staff of this to make the presentation to the board.
Can I just say something about the 4 chapters, just really quickly? So they released, I haven't read them yet, they released housing, land use, which is zoning, natural resources, which people care a lot about in this community, and facilities and infrastructure. And then this will be the process, right? And then those chapters will be done. The 2 chapters that it seems people should focus on, in addition to the natural resources due to the inherent interest, the housing, there was supposed to be a housing production plan done last March, and then it just never got done, and it just kind of went radio silent. In January, it was reported to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that it was completed, but no one has seen it. And then the word was from staff that that plan that no one's seen was gonna be integrated with this chapter. So they're integrating a plan nobody's seen for a year with a chapter that just came out. So you really want to take a close look at that because it's really ripe for public input since it hasn't had any public input for over a year. And then on the land use, this should be the chapter where the town is kind of looking back at the Cape Cod Commission and their regional plan that is encouraging density in villages. So just a little word that you'll really want to look at those.
Doctor, is there any feeling by the counselors to redirect the town manager that that's not the way what you want and to change it?
I've done that myself this past week with the meeting with the town manager and the planning department director.
Or what about the whole council?
Well, that'll be something I might bring on Thursday night. I think that this is, the LCP is done by the LCP. We have no control over the LCP. They are their own group that's appointed by the town manager. And they have their own orders to follow. Okay, so we are, as town council, that will eventually, the finished product will come from the town council. I made it clear that I think that these presentations should have a public comment, period. And so we're still looking. But as you said, a couple of them are already going on, I think once tonight and one was on Monday. And the chapters were all released Monday afternoon around 3 o'clock. Jen's on the LCP committee.
I was just saying, I'm sorry, I'm late. I just got back from Boston. Family member has medical issues going on. But we do have a meeting kind of here at the library on April 24th, if I'm correct. And it is a complete open, like everybody take a look at all the information that's online on the website. The draft report is just that, a draft. So any and all comments and edits and thoughts are most welcome. I know there's a meeting right now happening in Barnstable at St. Mary's, and there'll be a whole series of events. So please do take a look. And I'm also available if anyone has comments and things to talk with me about. I'm more than happy to sit down and listen. That's what it's all about. Getting this feedback is so critical to the process.
I'm wondering, the villages that have not had the benefit of looking at the chapters, they seem to be behind the 8 ball, quite frankly. And I would suggest that those meetings be repeated, so that those civic association, and those residents have a chance to read through the chapters and then respond to them. I love your idea about public response. I don't know why they wouldn't ask for it, but it seems unfair for some people to have had no advance read.
Yeah, and Jen missed this. Jen, just to,
Sorry, yeah.
we were just saying, the chapters were just posted yesterday and there's already one tonight. That was the plan, right? Post on Monday, start having feedback Tuesday. So those 4 people had to have gone home last night and read them after dinner if they want to read them before they're supposed to give feedback, which seems really tight.
Yeah, totally understand what you're saying. So all of the meetings that we've had and all the draft, processes have been available on the website. And this is really the opening period so that, feedback, comments, whatever, most welcome. But I do hear what you're saying about if you put it out on one day and then open meeting,
right.
right? It's a short time period. And clearly, we all have super busy schedules with things going on in the world. So
And
more
then the other one, just to catch Jen up, was, Jen, I think you said, it's like, John thinks there's cocktails, but it's cookies, right? So it's gonna be a staff presentation followed by cookies, as opposed to staff presentation followed by letting people give comment to the room.
Oh, from my perspective, it's most definitely comment from, that's why we're doing it to be able to go out to all these venues. And if people can't make those dates and can't make those times, come and see me. I'm more than happy to.
Right. But the format isn't like take the mic and give a comment. It's go have refreshments.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the format is for these meetings.
That's the format.
Yeah, tonight's the
that's-
first, yeah.
People won't get to hear or take, there's the,
Oh, I do
like,
believe,
yeah.
I do believe, I could be wrong, but I do believe, and certainly in all the other meetings that I've been at, it has been an open forum where people, comment and share.
Yeah.
It may not explicitly say that on the, invitation or details,
Yeah.
but, that's the whole point, but to get that feedback, at least from my perspective, that's the whole.
Jen, you also missed that, but I actually talked with, both, Plan Director Jenkins and Mark Ellis after a meeting the other day.
Mhm.
And Ms. Jenkins made it clear that public comment was not going to be there, that she actually quoted and said, I don't want to hear from the same 5 people. That's why we're going to have one-on-one, less confrontational, whatever, that with cookies and whatever. So it actually is her plan. And you actually, she works for your committee.
Right.
And I think maybe the committee should ask her to rethink how she's taking those questions. Because she made it clear that she doesn't want to hear public comment in the way it's been passed. It's happened in every single meeting. That's really her job to do so.
I think.
Okay, and that's actually giving the LCP committee, not the right look to the public.
Right. Again,
Question.
so
This program, the long range planning group, work under you, is that correct? Aren't you hired, that part of the town, or are they a group that's
Their committee,
from the state?
there's a committee that volunteers are appointed given by the last council. Give the town manager the ability to appoint these people.
Or they're
Okay.
appointed,
They're
but they
appointed by-
are hired or appointed?
They're
Salary?
not, no, they're volunteers.
I don't know, I'm just wanting to know,
no, we are all volunteers.
but you're
and-
responsible to you, because you hired the town manager, right, he works for you.
I think saying responsible to us is sort of misleading, not misleading, it's actually correct. Eventually, this long-range comprehensive plan will come for a vote in front of the town council, maybe a year down the road. We're supposedly somewhere around half, okay? My interest in what's going on now is that the planning and the focus of those committees should be open to the public, and there should be comments going on, so that if the focus is not what the town or the community wants, or the town council for that matter, they adjust as they go forward before they bring it something that is going to be very controversial and not accepted widely by either the council or the public at the final vote. You see what I mean? This is, I think, is the problem we've had in town for a very long time. Okay, is that things get put together and people don't see the final product till the very end. And they do have open meetings, but the
Yes.
final product comes right at the end, and then it's a big, Donnybrook to go through the process. And I'd like to see that not happen as a counselor. I'd like to see them have public comment so they can get the feedback immediately and then change direction if need be by their offices. So that's why I was asking Jen, maybe you can convince Wendy and also talk to Elizabeth Jenkins and say, we should have public comment and feedback exactly what you're doing now. So therefore, if those policies are unpopular, we know it now before a year from now.
Right.
Okay.
So at every meeting that we've had, and I'll go back that, we are all volunteers representing all the villages within the town of Barnstable. Many people have sort of multiple volunteer roles. Some people, this is the first, real town, volunteer role that they've taken on. And we have met for, the past, oh gosh, a year and a half or so, and our meetings are scheduled out through 2025 at this point and beyond. And every meeting that we've had has had public comment and outreach and feedback. Some of those meetings, they're
Just from the internet though?
oh no, we're in person. We're in person.
Can I, at one of the meetings, Wendy cut the public comment to 120 seconds, right? So you can't actually take this substance and go to that and talk to natural resources, housing in 120 seconds. I think another thing, when I go to these kind of meetings, like I learned tons from Hector, right? I learned tons from Suzanne because they know things that I don't know. So as an audience member, I think you learn from hearing the other people. And then there's a record of what they had to say. In this, like, I wouldn't get to hear what other people think. And so I wouldn't become educated, on issues that I'm not familiar with. So I think that's a loss. And then there's not a record of it. So how do you assess the changes from the draft to the final when the conversations just happened over cookies,
Right,
one-on-one, and the whole membership isn't even there, the whole body, like you're here,
right.
right?
Right, I have 3 meetings tonight
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock, but I'm
Yeah.
here because this is really valuable to me, because this is Osterville, this is our village, these are our people. I think a couple of things, that all of our meetings have been open, they do have public comment. Is there enough time for all public comment? Never enough time, and there are such in-depth issues that really cross-connect in so many different ways. And so we've had a number of speakers coming in and talking. I think that forums like this one, forums like the event tonight at 6, the one that'll be here in Osterville later in the month, and all the others that are scheduled for Katuitt and Centerville, I'm planning on going to those as well. I try and go to as many of these meetings as I can to talk to as many people. If you can't make those meetings, all the meetings that we have are online, you can watch them, and by all means, send in your email, send in your comments, come see me, come see any member of the LCP. And we are more than happy to listen and hear and understand and
Can I just ask a question? What is the purpose of these meetings in the villages if the public, the views of the public aren't being solicited?
over the.
It strikes me as, with this, the public's being spoon-fed a draft or an almost final draft that the planners of the town are putting together with a little assistance from the committee. So I don't understand why these meetings are being held if the public's input isn't being solicited. And John, you said that that's not Jenkins' plan.
So I will say that the meetings are all open to the public.
Okay, they're open to the public, but there's no public comment. And as Heather said, there's no venue for people to comment
Yes.
and for their comments to be recorded.
And the one caveat that I have is that I haven't been to tonight is the first April meeting. And obviously I'm not there right now, so I haven't seen the April series of meetings. The last round of meetings where they came out to various venues, which I went to a number of them, including the big workshop that happened over at the Adult Community Center. All of it was feedback. All of it was group work and thoughts from everybody in the audience. It was recorded by the staff there who were taking notes of each group breakout and reported back through some of the LCP meetings that we had. So it really is all recorded. I can tell you that. Again, caveat that I haven't been at the April meeting, but I will. And I will certainly reflect these comments, which I think are very appropriate. But again, all of these meetings are open. The whole purpose is to get feedback.
Yeah.
And
So I think a direct question is just, why isn't it just the standard comment that everybody gives at every public meeting in this town to every public body? Like, why little breakout groups over refreshments as opposed to just the
So
classic?
yeah, these really are, community meetings, which is different than the meetings that we have at town hall and with the official public comment and Zoom availability and that kind of thing. We do all of our meetings in person, so people are more than welcome to come in the audience. I hear what you're saying about, a more formal venue such as an OBA meeting might be a place to start. These were intended to be informal community outreach, to get feedback. So I'm sure if people are, learning from, staff and getting some presentation and enjoying a cookie or refreshment along the way, that they're also giving feedback. And I would hope, and I would think that was the intention.
But I mean, so I obviously have an issue with the process, right?
Right.
So I won't keep going on, but like tonight's meeting, those people literally had to read it after dinner. So to say, well, we set it up that way, that the schedule was controlled, right? It was like, this is when we're gonna post it and this is where we're gonna start the meetings. You're making two villages read them at night, 2 nights. That can't possibly be to get feedback.
Right. Well, I think, certainly having things available earlier
Right,
is beneficial for everybody.
right.
So if there's a need to repeat these outreaches to these earlier villages,
That should happen.
I think that's certainly, no brainer in terms of,
Right,
let's do it.
right.
But again, I'm more than happy to, if anyone has feedback or comment, and even, take time and take a look at it. I'm always at the museum. You can call me on my cell. I'm happy to meet and talk about any of these issues because they so are interconnected with everything we're talking about in town. And, it really is about the feedback from all of us in this room. That's so vitally important. So,
Thanks, Jen. I encourage everyone that's here to come to the April 24th meeting, obviously. John, I didn't have my glasses on. I was supposed to be up after the town council's report.
Well, LCP was something I was gonna talk about, that's okay, we talked about it now, and, playground committee, we were going to meet this week, we haven't had a chance, Jen
So we
sort
are,
of heads up the
I know,
informal committee.
I've got to say thank you to all our playground committee volunteers. I'm seeing, 2 or 3 of them right here. We are moving forward on a great plan. We have some tweaking to do in terms of, a few details and colors and such. Our committee, I believe, will be meeting, I have to confirm this, next week, to advance the process, but we have had a great response from our, playground consultant, who has done a great job in terms of the overall scheme. And I think, from our perspective, it's just a matter of tweaking a few pieces, of the overall presentation and moving forward to get this thing going.
Yeah, I agree, and the faster that meeting, the better. Have you
Yes.
got down the meeting, you're
I
supposed to do
have.
it this week?
So this week was out because a couple of us couldn't make this week.
Yeah.
But next week we will be meeting and, moving forward, I think Thursday at 12:30, if that works for your schedule. You were the one who I wasn't sure about this.
I think it does.
Yeah.
One of the issues we have is that, they're gearing up, the town is gearing up for a number of playgrounds, including the Osterville playground. And we've been waiting for this for 16 years now. Okay, now's not the time to drop the ball. We need to have a meeting, get in the line and get on the CIP, get the money going forward. And, if we fall down in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be put on the back burner for another year. So that's important that we have these things, make these decisions quickly. We've agreed on basically the entire layout, except for a couple of pieces. What happens is you lay out a playground according to a consultant. And you've got to have setbacks for each piece of equipment, in case some kid goes flying up the swing, they have enough, areas so the kid can bounce up and down and not hit the other piece of equipment. So, we've pretty much agreed on what the layout's gonna be. Okay, we need to, some of the particular equipments, there's other choices for that same spot and the same setback. So we need to do that for the town, and the town can start moving on with preparing the site and going forward. So it's important we get this meeting and we come to a conclusion next week with what those parts are. Then we can talk about colors and that kind of stuff later when we're ordering equipment. So let me know about that, Jen.
I think you
Thursday,
said Thursday, 12:30?
12:30.
Thursday would be, Thursday would be
Yeah,
11 to 12:30.
Exactly. And I
Okay.
think the other thing to note is that this is, according to the town, would be the largest playground in the town of Barnstable that is ADA compliant and also provides shade. So I think that's a significant, thing for us. A great thing for Osterville and a great thing for the town.
Long time coming.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
plans look actually very intriguing, they look good, they look
Very
like a couple of young kids have looked at them that we know that are part of the committee, and they say looks fabulous stuff, so, question is getting something that's, the color's right, and that kind of stuff fits in, it doesn't be going crazy in that spot.
So just
But-
those fine details. of the-
Okay, moving on, we're having sort of a debate now in the town council about, subcommittees that the town council president is putting forward to jumpstart a lot of what's happening in town, including housing, including development, including what's happening in the downtown Hyannis Business Improvement District, and to have these overlaying committees on those groups, be put together and start having, we kickstart what we've had before. A lot of what's happening with housing is installed. The Housing committee hasn't met in a month, I don't know, a year. I'm actually the liaison for the housing committee. So a lot of these functions at other times through the last council were not put through the correct committees. Those committees that were doing them were not noticed at all or correctly, and their agendas weren't posted and their meeting times weren't posted. So we're trying to, one of the reasons why I ran for office is to get us on a regular schedule, do things according to town code. And that's what we're gonna try to do. There seems to be some pushback from some of the other counselors are saying that, they want these committees not appointed by the president, which is in our town rules. Okay, but they want those appointed by the appointments committee. That's never been done by any, or had that stipulation never put on any other town council president, so we're actually having another vote to determine that, and then we'll put these committees together and start working. I think it's important for our town to start moving ahead on a number of issues, whether it's new housing, whether it's what to do with town-owned land as far as utilization, or put as recreation or conservation, or some for housing. All those issues are come up in different committees, and we're really working hard to get that moving right away. So that's something that's right on the council now. The other thing is we're starting to work on budget items. We have, I don't know, we have probably 60 items on this meeting coming up. But we agreed to a consensus agreement that there's no opposition from any counselor. We put those all together in one vote, and we pass them on to the next meeting, which will be, then we have to vote every item and vote yes or no on those items. So this meeting's not gonna be till 1 o'clock in the morning, but I think the next one will be. But those budget items start taking a long time. If you discuss each particular item on the budget, each have to be voted on and passed and done according to the Mason's Rule of Order, so.
John, may I ask a question? I saw on the agenda, a motion was made to revisit the vote
That's what I'm
on
talking about.
allowing President Penn to appoint the folks to these ad hoc committees.
Yes.
So, was that motion made at the last meeting?
No, it was not.
I didn't think so. Is it public knowledge as to who made that motion?
It was, I don't know exactly who made that motion. A couple of counselors were for that, doing that. The vote was actually voted on. It was a 6-6.
Yeah, I stayed up very late to watch all
Okay,
the
it was
votes.
a 6-6 vote, which
Yeah.
means that the motion to put those, whoever, the group that will appoint those people to basically the community at large people, not the counselors.
Right,
The motion was to put that into the appointments committee, okay, which has never been done. It did not
Right.
pass.
I saw that.
6-6 vote. One of the counselors was on Zoom, okay, and then the Zoom, after having a period of over an hour where nobody was on Zoom, the town shut Zoom down, and then the counselor tried to get in after that, okay? So technically, we made, 3 or 4 meetings ago, the ability for counselors with, not on vacation or not something, but they wanna, if there's a emergency or something, have to be somebody, at least they can zoom into me. The specifics we assumed were, people would zoom in and be there for roll call and then be there for the whole meeting.
Right.
Okay, well, this counselor came in 2 hours into the meeting. Okay, so it was after the Zoom was shut down by the town because they didn't have employees, they were not getting any people coming in. So in order to make that fair or come back, they decided to put this on the agenda again. Okay, and I didn't know about it till yesterday. So we're gonna re-vote that, but there's a number of votes first. You have to vote whether to revisit it in the first place. Then whether you're going to suspend the rules to do that in the first place. Then you're gonna have to decide whether you wanna vote again on whether we are going to revisit item. Then you actually have to vote on that. So that'll come up during that meeting.
John, what is the appointments committee then? What does the appointments committee do?
The appointments committee, the town council president is allowed to make ad hoc committees at any time. And they've done that in the past. What, town council president, Penn has done is made these 5 committees to expedite some of these issues and move forward, because the appointments committee is very backed up. And she thought this is the best way to go about doing it. Okay, so we voted to do that. Okay, she has the
But
right.
were they normally, was the appointments committee normally?
No, the appointments committee has never done it.
That's for the standing
That's for
committees.
standing committees, you're right, standing
Yeah.
committees. It's not for ad hoc committees appointed or created by the town council through its president. We voted to do those committees. And now it's the vote is on whether those committees will be, not the counselors, but anybody from the public on those committees. And not all those committees have public. 3 of the 5, I believe, have public, or 2 of the 5. And the others are on, say, town code and fixing that up and stuff. So that's what we're going back and forth against, but it's never been done. It's never been done with any other town council president. But for some reason now that we have the new president, they're saying we want it done.
I'll just say this out loud. I don't know why, I feel like there's gender bias, to be honest. This is our first female president.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the rules that are written in plain English, that have always been the rules,
Yeah.
let's waive the rules so she doesn't have the authority to do what every other president has done.
Right.
And when other presidents have appointed people, there weren't even records of the appointments, right? It was just like abracadabra, there's not even written on a piece of paper. So this is per the rules. Cause I stayed up late watching too, it's like a
Yeah.
little circus, right? And the process is people get notice, you can put your name in, right? When a president named Eric had a subcommittee that worked on zoning and housing, nobody got notice. Nobody got an agenda, nobody knew who was on it, right? That was all cool. And the people that are making the most noise right now, were completely cool with that. Nobody even questioned it, but now that there's a person named Felicia, it's like, oh, let's back away from our rules. I'm just calling gender bias here.
Well, what I'm calling is, I think that an extracurricular motion that was not made during a public meeting should be challenged as improper. Quite frankly, that meeting was closed.
That would be in the
and so-
rules too.
Yeah, that's in the rules.
I actually went over the rules with the town lawyer today.
Little flies on you, John.
Yeah. And we decided this was the best way to go for various reasons, to solve this issue. So anyway, and I understood the reasoning, and but the rules say, the town rules, I don't know if I don't have them right now, but the town's rules are very, very clear ones.
Yeah,
Okay, and if you're going to have, if there's a motion, okay, and the motion passes or doesn't pass, okay, it can be brought up for reconsideration that meeting immediately,
right.
okay, it needs to be brought up for reconsideration for the next town council, but it needs to be done at that meeting. And it wasn't done, it has to be done also by the group that prevailed, by the counselor, by one of the counselors that prevailed in the motion. Not the ones who lost the motion, but prevailed in the motion. Okay, since it was a 6-6 tie, there was some argument that nobody prevailed in the motion, but the motion is put forward and the motion did not pass, so it was prevailed by a negative vote, it was 6 of the 6 votes.
Right.
Okay, so we went back and forth on this thing, so, that's what's gonna happen.
So get your popcorn.
Believe me,
Yeah.
I had a long conversation with the town lawyer, and I wanna make sure, that's one of my bugaboos, is let's do things according to rule.
Yeah.
No more committees that are self-appointing, which has
Yeah.
happened before,
Yeah.
that aren't posted in town, they're town committees, they have to be posted when their meetings are, their agendas have to be posted. We've got committees, and we've heard me going back and forth with another council about that, that was actually running the show before we got elected. And saying, I sunsetted these committees, well, fact is, he didn't sunset committees, those committees were they were discovered to be illegal, brought up to the town manager, and within 4 days, they were disbanded.
Yeah.
Okay, and for the town council, ex-town council president says, well, I sunsetted it because there's some issues, but it was completely wrong, and I brought that up to the meeting. Fact is, he had no other choice than to sunset those committees or disband them because they were running foul of the town council rules.
I might disagree even with an attorney that that motion is outside the lines and should not be entertained.
I think so. So anyway, what else do I have? That's basically it. I'd like to see this playground. Let's get on this. Let's have this meeting. We'll get the committee back and talk to people. Agree on what kind of equipment we're gonna do in those spots and just move right in. If they're ready to go, the town is ready to go, and wait for us.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my info.
Great, thank you, John, great job. Next meeting is gonna be May 7th, here at 6 o'clock, we're going to the new 6 o'clock, hopefully that works out. He's kind of this is the first meeting we've had at 6. And hopefully we're gonna continue that. Also would like to, some people might know, some might not, Paul Cusack's mother passed away last week, so it's actually a moment of silence. Thank you.
Peter,
And,
Peter,
hi, Bill.
hi. Under old business, which I didn't get here called for additional things. Hate to extend the meeting, but Patrick Johnson did send out a letter showing the major changes in Avangrid. And I'm surprised that didn't make the topic tonight because Avangrid has gone and changed all the rules of the ball game. And they've changed all the names. Park City name is going away, Commonwealth name is going away. They're both being combined under the new proposal to be New England Wind 1 and New England Wind 2. And Avangrid is throwing so much smoke around. They had 8 pages of things that they have all kinds of malarkey, and the Cape, everything is being honored relative to Boston, New England, Connecticut, Salem, and so it's and things such as Commonwealth, as I kind of try and find out, is being postponed, the completion of it back to 2030. I don't know how many people saw that or read it, but it's a really major change relative to Avangrid. So anyone would get other comments about that?
Yeah, thank you, Bill. We've got Suzanne Conley and some people here regarding the wind farm tonight, and she's gonna speak in a few minutes.
Okay,
I did see that today, but it hasn't been out for that long, correct?
yeah. It may only be about 4 days old exactly, but yeah, I thought the meeting was about to close. That's the reason why I interjected.
Yeah, thank you. We're gonna talk about that right now. Suzanne?
Thanks. May I stand up? I hate
Sure,
going
yeah.
back to people.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. I can't wait to get home and look that up because I didn't get anything from Patrick Johnson.
Yeah, I haven't either.
You didn't, Hector didn't get it.
Bob, did you get anything?
I think it was the press release.
Oh, a press release.
Think it was it came from Hubbard,
I saw
yeah.
something on that.
We knew
Yeah,
about
might
the
have come from
name
Rachel.
changes.
Yeah.
That was, I'll look it up when I get home. Anyway, so just some updates about our work at, St. Greater Dowson's Beach. We always thank the OVA for endorsing our work. We really appreciate that vote from last year. One thing we've been following, in September, the governor set up this commission for energy infrastructure siting and permitting. We've been following that all winter long. They had a draft of their recommendations to the governor, and they just submitted a final draft to her with recommendations for legislations. And I'll give you my Reader's Digest version of what this is all about. It's a pathway to removing local control from cities and towns when it comes to the siting and permitting of renewable energy infrastructure. We don't know if, well, just in a nutshell, they want the towns, the municipalities to do a common permit, so you don't go to this commission and that board and so forth, just do one permit. And you have 15 months to get it approved, and if it isn't approved, the developer can then go to EFSB, well, they'll rubber stamp it and say, yes, you can do it. So it's really, it's really kneecapping the municipalities. If this is to happen, the governor has to submit legislation along these lines. We're completely opposed to this. This is right in the face of the Commonwealth's long tradition of home rule for our cities and towns. And for example, when it comes to Dels's Beach, that's land protected by Article 97 of the Constitution. The commission did not mention Article 97 at all. But then again, not all of these projects, and what I learned from testifying recently in front of CEISP, this is an issue across the Commonwealth. Out in Western Massachusetts, they are destroying farmlands and woodlands and putting up massive arrays of solar panels everywhere, solar voltaic, these huge solar voltaic farms. And so out there, they're fighting the state in the same way we're fighting to save our beaches against this kind of, wild west of renewable energy infrastructure. So it's really kind of troubling, and I'm not sure how much it's going to fly with the legislature. I hope it doesn't. We did respond. I wanted to share with folks our response. I wrote this, after the draft. That's to the CEISP, if you could just hand those around. I just wanted the board to have a copy of our response to their recommendations. There was a lot of 98% of all the comments, and I think Bob and Hector, you were there on the Zoom meetings. Everyone was like, you people can't do this. We don't, local control is important. They just went ahead anyway, and they came up with this scheme. There are 4 states in the union. I hope I remember them: California, New York, Illinois, and all right, Michigan. 4 states have done this. They have removed local control on infrastructure, the siting and permitting of renewable energy infrastructure. Healy wants Massachusetts to be the 5th. It's quite clear. Recently, we've been following, of course, the new request for proposals for new power purchase agreements. This is called 83C4. This is their, the state's new round, trying to get these people to propose projects from which they can purchase electricity. Avangrid submitted their proposal. Hello. Avangrid submitted their proposal that is so heavily redacted, and strangely enough, I mean, I made this little joke that it's got more black patches than a boatload of pirates, but there's these huge black patches all throughout their document. Now, typically, developers are allowed to have to mask proprietary information, financials, for example, investor information, and also proprietary science. But they masked everything that has to do with cable landings on what they now call New England Wind 2, which is the Dels's project, which to me, there's nothing there that's proprietary, nothing, except they did not want us to see. And because this, well, we promised them a buzzsaw, and we've given them a buzzsaw, and we're known in town. In fact, I was contacted by NPR and a couple other media outlets from Boston about, my reaction to the CEISP stuff. So they know who we are. And just to mask all the information about a possible Dels's Beach landing is so disingenuous on their part. And I wrote right away to the secretary. I'm sure she read it, my email right away. Anyway, it's just so wrong for them to do that. So we're continuing to follow as an ad hoc community group, their proposals, for new power purchase agreements. South Coast Wind also, have you guys seen, the site, the Department of Energy Resources? They put up the bids, but only Avangrid's is opening. Because South Coast Wind also put a new one in for, their project that's going to go to Brayton Point, that it won't open. So the only one that'll open is Avangrid's. I don't know why that's the case, but, I could check that out tomorrow. Our group, members of our group, have been meeting, Hector, Stacy, Pete, have been meeting with water commissioners throughout Barnstable and in neighboring communities to share our concerns about cable landings as they relate to the thermal effects on our public water delivery systems, as well as what we believe is the potential for catastrophic damage to the sole source aquifer. And we've spoken, a lot in front of town council about the substations and being built on top of, watersheds, which is the case in the Shoot Flying Hill substation, and then the aquifer one is much more involved with, it's a wellhead protection zone that the town will no longer have access to if you put a 29-acre substation there. So we've been talking about that, and lately I've been more and more concerned in doing my reading. These are the duct bank that will go through our town, our village rather, and then travel up past 6. Is 1,200 megawatts, and the way they build this, they put it in a precast concrete duct bank. And then, they'll pull all the cables through every half mile, there's a splicing station, a splicing vault rather. After the whole thing's built, they pour thermal concrete over it. The bottom of it sits on top of gravel. Where does that heat go? Right into the ground, and it's too close, this thing is massive, and it's too close to our water supply delivery system, and I think Pete can testify to that. Pete knows a lot about that, being a water commissioner. So we have really, really, valid and sincerely held concerns about their plans. This has never been done anywhere, Barnstable's being like sort of a guinea pig for the country. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that, but, our concerns are, we're constantly talking about this. A member of our group, met with, Senator Julianne Sear, who was accompanied by Representative Hipdigs, who walked the beach. Sear wanted to see the beach and learn all about it and what our objections were. Sadly, I was in Florida, or maybe I should say happily, I was in Florida, to hear, SGDBs. He wanted to know, what's the big deal, blah, blah, blah. So the senator asked, us for recommendations as to where else these cables could land. And so our colleague, Adam Myrick, worked with the fellow, Paul Sylvester in our group, who had actually walked with, the senator and with, Representative Diggs. And we gave them a whole bunch of, options, ideas, like why take a recreational beach and do this to it? Late this afternoon, we got a response, basically, no, that's not a good idea, that will never happen, blah, blah, blah. And then we were told that it is now SGDB's role to find another place. And, and then we were told that, and by the way, don't suggest an environmental justice community because they have suffered the ill effects of these construction projects for many, many decades, and now it's our turn, I guess. So, we'll respond, we're gonna meet tomorrow, we're gonna talk about this, we're gonna respond, figure out what we're gonna say back to Senator Sear, because there are options, and just to dismiss them out of hand, I don't believe is correct, but, we'll talk with him, we'll keep talking with him. We're always focused on douses, but we certainly support our colleagues over there in Centerville. Bob knows that, in the group center, Barnstable Speaks, and we're going to be at their rally at Craigville Beach on Saturday, April 20th, and I really recommend folks go there. Sandy Jones has asked me to speak about Article 97. I think I'll just read it. It's a constitutional amendment after all. Finally, we're planning something we're calling the Close to the Wind Summit Light, when we will present videos of the presentations that were made at our big event in January. Dr. Conway was there, he made a great presentation, as did Bob Schulte. Hector talked, who else am I missing? Am I missing someone? But it was a fabulous meeting. About 350 people showed up in the middle of January, and it was an incredibly impactful moment in time, I think. But we have the videos, and we'll just, I hope to get this room, and we'll just invite people to come and see those presentations when, the summer people. Oh, we're sorry we missed it, we're away for the winter, but we'll do that for those folks. We'll share the date and the details as soon as we have them, and that's just an update. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Peter, that letter came out last Wednesday, March 27th, from Patrick Johnson. And so the other thing, I don't know how many people followed it, but relative to the power line that has come on shore, there was that business and complaint about signs. And I don't know if people follow that, but that's very critical relative to the fact that we get 3 power lines coming on shore. And as I read, there was an agreement that they would have a minimum only 2 signs and only 1 on the beach. And so one will probably be way up by the parking lot that says, do have knowledge that there is a power line on this beach. Then somewhere's, only one place, somewhere's, they're gonna put a sign that the power line is underneath this. And I wrote something, I sent it to, I think, both you, Pete, and John, that the power line on Colville Beach is, I think, only 9 feet below the surface. And I also sent something out that I did recently, that the groundwater is saturated from, obviously, from the pipe right up to the shore. And children, I've got pictures of my grandchildren in 2009 where they actually, with plastic shovels, dug a 4.5-foot hole, and in the bottom of it is the groundwater. And as you probably saw recently, children on the beach in Florida dug a hole 6 feet deep. And so if there's no monitoring, that means that kids just playing can dig within 3 feet of the power cable. And this is rather ridiculous and something that more attention should be paid to.
Can I just, I should have said this, they've been telling us for almost 2 years now that the EMF from the power lines will not be greater than what you experience in your home. And typically, it's 2 to 3 milligauss. I know that because I have an EMF monitor. The other day, someone else had one of these, and the EMF at Coble's was 40. That's in a range where you are told not to hang around. Do not hang around when the EMF milligauss is reading 40. I went over there today, it's reading 29 today. So
That's with 8 windmills, right?
that's with a few windmills. So when it's 68 windmills, you can imagine what those readings are going to be. These are not, these are not beaches I would want to bring my children and grandchildren to any longer.
If I could just make another comment regarding what Bill said.
And I'm sorry, Cindy Cotton was great, Bill. She ran this, isn't she wonderful? She ran off a copy of this thing you talked about, Bill, for me, so I'm all set. Go ahead, Stacey,
If I
sorry.
could I'm concerned about these signs too, Bill, and I would suggest that you please reach out to Mark L. I talked to him at the last town council meeting on the break. I'm very concerned that they be very factual. I don't want them to be marketing opportunities for any developer.
That's right.
I don't want them to be like eco-tourism signs. I want them to be factual and close to, I want more than 1, 2, or 3.
Absolutely.
Close to where the cables are.
Yeah.
If there is gonna be an effort to do a kiosk or whatever, I'm concerned about that. But if there is gonna, again, it has to be factual. And if there's gonna be one of those codes, you can scan,
QR code.
QR codes, where is that gonna go? To Avangrid site?
Yeah.
No, that should not happen. It should be a factual sheet saying, this is 802 megawatts, whatever it is. And maybe it should go to the phone site, I don't know, but it is something I think we should all be aware of because Avangrid, as we know, is a business, right? A big part of their business is PR. And I believe the town needs to take the lead on this and make sure that the reason for doing these signs is to inform the public, right?
Yeah.
About what is there. And, so I would strongly suggest reaching out to Mark and maybe Tom Camberary, is that the other person that's?
He suggested it originally, yeah.
I
So
give
maybe,
you a,
I asked to be informed myself. We can all ask to be informed as to what the plans are for these signs before they get approved.
Bob has an update.
I give an update on some of these things,
Yeah.
no particular order, but since that came up, I would agree with, Stacy, encourage people to reach out to Mark Ellis. There's been part of a small working group meeting that's been meeting with Mark and Tom LaRose, the town attorney, and Tom Camberary, who's a hydrogeologist here in town. I think he was with the Cape Cod Commission originally, but is well regarded and known by the town and worked with them. And the subject of the EMFs came up and we talked about that. He and another individual, Cliff Carroll, were over both testing with EMF monitors over the weekend, I think, and they were getting readings somewhere between 40 and 60, particularly near the junction boxes in the parking lots. Less out near the beach itself.
I got 12 today on the
Yeah,
beach.
Tom indicated that it seems as if the sand itself is acting as somewhat of an insulator, but some of the areas in the parking lot and things. And as he pointed out, if assuming that the 5 or 6 turbines that they have connected were running when he walked by, that would be about 6% of the actual energy that might be coming under at any one time.
Right.
So if you look at 40 to 60 milligas, if you just assume times 16 to get to 100%, and even then we were saying there's no way, none of us are experts, we don't know that when you increase all that, does that progress linear progression or logarithmic, So when you go to 800, it may be more than 16 times.
Right.
Plus, as Charlie McLaughlin pointed out in some of the Cape Cod Commission hearings, that over time, these cables are in salt water and they degrade, and so you could have higher emission rates. So we talked about that. We stressed the importance to Mark and the town attorney that these signs not be Avangrid advertisements. We don't want to see any Avangrid logos. Mark assured us that these would be town signs. That there probably would be a QR code. We didn't discuss where that would go. But I think it would be helpful for more people to stress to Mark and write to Mark and say that Mark wants to see these up by May 1st. He's committed to us. We've asked him several times for the wording. He hasn't got it, but apparently there's some draft wording being discussed on that. We didn't get into how many signs, but that is being talked about. So now would be timely to reach out to Mark and talk about those signs because they want to have them up by May 1st. So that was one issue. Another one was talking about monitoring that on a regular basis. I think the agreement with the town or with Avangrid was to monitor it, I don't know, every 6 months or something. And we discussed the possibility. Mark originally indicated that he was reaching out to firms that would come in and monitor the EMF on a regular basis. And the original comment was like, well, we're being told by the people we talked to, well, there's nothing to worry about. Why do you want it to do that? But apparently there is discussion now, and I think he was getting a proposal, and we're discussing the possibility of a regular 24/7 monitoring. They can do it with the SCADA systems that monitor the cables. You can find a way to monitor that. So at any given time, you can see what the EMF would be. Where that goes, I don't know, but we were pushing for that, discussing, regular monitoring and stuff.
Avangrid gets the reports from the thyristors that are at every half-mile junction.
Yeah,
And that's for monitoring overheating of the cables and overcurrenting of the cables.
yeah. So we talked about that. Just a comment about the redaction, that came up. One of the individuals on the call made that comment, and the town attorney actually started define that, redactions, he said something like they were, liberally, and he says that's an understatement. And apparently even the town agreed that, it was ridiculous, the things that they redacted, like landings and things like that.
Yeah.
Financial
Anything to
terms.
do with this landing, they blacked out.
And the town attorney and Mark Ellsberg also kind of commented about how it's pretty absurd. There's absolutely nothing in the proposal about that's shown what the financial consequences will be to ratepayers, to the town, et cetera. All that stuff has been blacked out. So, even they were, surprised, not surprised, but laughing at that. And then one other thing on the substations, and I've been after Mark Ells on this, has been, the presentation at the February 29th Water Resources Workshop, where Dan Santos got up and made comments, his opinion as to, the concerns about the dielectric fluids. As it turns out, he was using incorrect information that was provided by Vineyard Wind. they gave a data sheet that was for mineral oil, which is described as a mild horse laxative. Which is what I
Well,
guess,
to be accurate, it's a horse laxative / enema.
okay. I won't get into that gory
You're
details.
welcome.
Which I guess is actually a fluid they do use for the testing process. But the discussion is that they have gone beyond the testing process. They are running electricity through there. So they are operating. Now it looks, and I made the comment this morning, you know, they were saying, well, it's still in the construction phase and commissioning. Well, the reality is they could claim that it's in the construction commissioning stage for the next 2 years. Until the last turbine is up, they do their final testing. So it appears the federal government has created this huge loophole that allows them to not provide a final, it's the SPCC, the spill prevention, I don't remember what the acronym is, which, you know, the wording says it should be provided once there's electricity running through there. Well, they're running electricity, but they're hanging their hat on grid or Vineyard Wind at this point saying, well, it's still under construction, it's not really commissioned yet, so we don't have to provide that plan. So right now, our firefighters, our safety personnel don't have a plan on what to do if we have a problem or a leak. That's not the final plan anyway. So we had some discussions about that. Mark has indicated, he requested, this is Mark Ells, to town leadership, has suggested that they have a future water resource meeting specifically on substations. Because, you know, I'll just say there's a difference in opinion between what Dan Santos is telling the public and what other public officials feel about substations. Mark is very concerned with substations, is what he says. So there's push, and we're pushing him to have a more in-depth session on substations. So
One final thing, I forgot to tell you this, I wrote to Patrick Johnson and I asked him what the results were of their study of the impact of the construction of the cables offshore on the benthic environment. They were required by EFSB to do that study. And what his response was, oh, we haven't started it yet. So we have no idea what the construction of those 2 cables that run into Cobles did to the, you know, to the taxa that live in the sound, or even to the water. You know, what sort of pollutants that generated, and now they're just planning to come right into Craigville and do the same thing without our knowing what the impact of that construction was. So I wanted you to know that,
Yeah.
Bob, especially, that they're just dragging their feet on everything that relates to accountability.
and then my final comment, and Suzanne
Oh,
kind of.
sorry, I thought.
No, just say Suzanne kind of stole the thunder, which is good. The citizens rally, this has largely been put together. I'll you know, tip my hat to Sandy Jones and Joanne O'Connor and Barnstable Speaks. We have a citizens rally at Craigville Beach on April 20th from 11 to 1 with a rain date of Sunday, the 21st at 11 to 1. And this is going to be groups. We've got groups from, you know, Osterville, we've got Plymouth, Centerville, Brewster, Falmouth, Hyannis, Samoset, some of the Brayton Point people are coming up. So we're gonna have people talking about, you know, some of the Article 97, the land and water protection, the aquifer, protecting the beaches. And a lot of it came about because of this whole, you know, the Commission on Energy and Infrastructure siting permitting. There's groups, as Suzanne pointed out, across the state that are concerned, just not people hear about offshore wind. This is going throughout the state, the solar, other issues. And quite frankly, the town and Mark Ells, you know, opposed, you know, this entire move by the Healy administration to do this. So there's a large group that's opposing this, and it really was kind of driven by that. So we're trying to get people out, speakers on that subject, hopefully getting people out. And, you know, we're gonna have, what we call it, a petition or a letter. And I know there's already been one that's gone to the Healy administration, but we're gonna have something for people to sign while they're down there too. There's gonna be some refreshments, and there's talk about some music and things like that. So we're hoping to get a good turnout.
Can you
So,
get some press there?
yeah, but, you know, press releases have been sent out, so anyway, so if you're able to come on the 21st, the 20th, 21st rain date, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So,
That's great, Bob. Thank you very much.
thanks.
Can I just say a word about the redaction? I'm not gonna comment on substance, the whatever was redacted, I haven't looked at them and I'm not going to instruct, but I used to do regulatory law, right? So I was a person who did the redactions and filed them under confidentiality.
Yeah.
There are rules. You can't just sort of black stuff out because you feel like it.
They did.
You could challenge that, is all I'm saying.
Well, I wrote immediately to the secretary asking that I get confirmation that the secretary received my my complaint that this was improper and possibly in violation of regulations. I haven't heard a thing, so, yeah.
One more.
Leave now, unfortunately, because of time, but I just wanted to let you people know, it's not something I really emphasize at all, that I'm a retired professional geologist and I was registered in 14 states. And I'm also a hydrogeologist, so, and I've got some concerns about the salt surf aquifer too, that I will share, and things that the town is pretty much covering up. And, so I have to leave right now, but, I'll be very available, so, thanks for the good work.
Thank you, Bill, for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
One follow-up, on the dragging your feet, issue. About a month ago, at the town council meeting, I actually asked Attorney Karen Nover that we have a letter written out to Avangrid to come in and actually tell exactly what chemicals, gases, dielectric fluids are now in use at the substation for the Cobalt Spark Vineyard Wind at Independence Park. 2 weeks later, I asked her to ask again, and Ken Kimmel said he'd misplaced it, didn't see the email. And then 4 days later, I asked him, and we asked him again. This is Karen Nover asking through the town. He said, well, I can't get that to that until the bids are out on Friday. Well, bids were out on last Friday. Okay, and now I wrote him another email today. The town lawyer asking for that information.
So you asked for the material data safety sheet for the
Yes.
dielectric fluid and.
All the chemicals, all the gases, what their MSDS sheets are, the actual name of the chemical, the number of the chemical, so we can actually research those ourselves.
Yeah, product
And
number.
any additives, product numbers and everything else. So he's still dragging his feet.
What did his bid for power purchase agreements have to do with the material data safety sheet?
He said he was busy doing that, that's why he hasn't gotten back. So it's the same thing.
I will let you know, John, that came up this
Yeah.
morning at the meeting, and Tom LaRosa, it sounds like the left hand isn't talking to the right hand because he was completely unaware. What's that? I don't know what counselor asked for that. So, here's the first attorney, the point person with Avangrid is claiming that he had no idea that that had been requested. Yeah, you're talking to his boss, and so
Yes.
they're not
I'll bring it up.
sharing information internally.
Bring it up. I think he was at that meeting when I asked it, but I'm not sure, so.
Yeah.
We're getting played.
Doctor, certain things that Avangrid hasn't done, such as they're supposed to have insurance policies and so on, and just what you're talking about here,
Still
supplying
playing.
the information. So when they're not living up to the agreements and the contract that they're supposed to be, well, why can't the town go to a judge and have them stopped?
I don't want to answer that question.
Well,
I'd like to see it done.
why doesn't the town manager go and have a court injunction against them until they comply with all the restrictions and, line items that they're supposed to be doing, and they should be told to cease operation until they comply with it.
I will ask the town attorney after this meeting.
I think that'll get their attention. It's like the only thing they'll do is give a force to the.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Any other comments tonight? Great meeting. This is obviously very important, and Bob, thank you for that information on the upcoming event, Greg and Suzanne and everyone else on their comments. This is, again, to be continued, John, especially for your work with the town council and with liaison to the town, so we just have to keep up the fight. And it's not gonna be easy, but this is great, because you got. And no other comment, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.